So look, if you want to grow your wealth, your income, and increase the amount of time off, then these are the shortcuts that can help. Welcome to the Wealth Creation Podcast.
It's Dan and we are live. Welcome, hope you're well today. So we're live a lot later than we should be. We should be live at 12 noon. And everything's all over the place right now because we're all in lockdown still. We're on day, I don't know, 27 is it? I think day 27. Every Friday is a week for us. So day 28 coming up tomorrow. And we've still got another 18 days left to go. But anyway, so it's all over the place. And that's okay because people can listen to the podcast and they can watch the video once it's already gone live, and they can catch us on YouTube and so on. So it's fine. So in this session today, and I'm outside and I'm on my laptop camera in case you're wondering why it's all different. So my wife is working inside and she's teaching her class. It's a private school and they're all paying fees, so she's still teaching. But for me, I'm now on my laptop camera. The little one's inside the house, so we thought we'd just go live. It doesn't matter if it's not quite on time, and that's just the way it goes. We're just all in make do right now, aren't we? So if you've got any questions about property sourcing, we're going to talk about stress testing your property and about what you can do about just getting some of those costs reduced, and also some of the learnings that we've had from being locked down, really, because some of the things that we thought was true turns out not to be true. So some of the things from a wealth creation point of view, from a cash flow point of view, that we were kind of proud about, haven't fulfilled the dream as much as they should have done. And so we're going to make some changes ourselves. So we've already made some changes to our content delivery business, our digital marketing agency, and those changes are going to start and be implemented in June. But also we're going to start making some changes with our property portfolio, and also what our focus is on in terms of our property portfolio as well. So a couple of things. Excuse me. So if you're watching this, by the way, please, you can say stuff in the comment. And my banner, where's my property cash flow banner? There it is. If you've got any comments, then please stick them in the chat box down below. And hopefully I'll keep checking on Facebook on my mobile phone in case they don't come up on screen, which they don't always do. If you've got any comments or anything like that, then please let me know. So let's just talk about stress testing. What is stress testing, first of all? So first of all, you know, interest rates have been historically low. If you look at the interest rates for the last 100 years, they've definitely been lower. When I was first getting into this game about 20 years ago, they were about 5 or 6%, and I was stress tested anyway about 6%. And actually, we can stress test all the way up to 9 or 10%, in fact, with my current portfolio, which is pretty cool. Tony's in the house. Hey, Tony, hope you're well. I hope your lockdown is going well. So from a stress testing point of view, we could go from maybe 8, 9, 10%, and then we start to have problems, actually. So that, for me, causes me a few issues, and it makes me uncomfortable. So about 10 years ago, I went through some horrific times. We're talking child abduction, solicitors' fees coming out of everywhere, non-payment of mortgages and gas bills and council tax. Really got into a state just because we're going through all this family court stuff. And when we came out of that, I made a decision. I was never, ever going to put myself into a position where we would be worried and concerned about money. And yet here we are, we're worried about tenant income coming in. Now, there's no amazing answer to this. There's no holy grail to solving this problem. I was just reading earlier about insurance companies are now not going to be paying their dividends out. One of them has about 750 million, but all the others have been told by the government, actually stop paying some of your dividends out. So even if you just invested into insurance companies who historically have 6-7% dividend rates, very good, 5 or 6% dividend rates, very good returns. Even that wouldn't solve you. So if you're a cash flow investor like I am, I live on the money that my portfolio generates. If I sold everything, put it into insurance companies, the next dividend payment wouldn't be coming through, and that would put me at risk. And so this is where having a diversified set of assets comes in, and we're going to talk about that as well because this is really important. What does a diversified set of assets actually mean? And people think it means insurance, and water and property, and it could do, but I think it has to translate over to different asset classes entirely. There's only 4 asset classes, so you've got stocks and shares, you've got business, you've got property, and then you've got you're the last one. Okay, so you should be constantly investing in yourself. That's number one. You do that through constant training, constant coaching. And then if you're constantly investing in yourself, which you should be doing because you're an asset, okay, then you're going to get a return on that at some point. And you're best spending that money while you've got it, so that then when you're getting into a state where you haven't got the money, you can then turn on a sixpence, create content, create a product, and still generate income. So like one day last week, I think we sold like 25 copies of the property sourcing training, which was 27 quid. I can't even do the maths on that. Let me just do the maths on that. Some of us were affiliates, by the way, I think 17 or 15, I don't know. Some of us were affiliates. I can't remember what it was, 27, was it 25, oh, 27 times 25 copies. So it's about £675. That was on one day. That's not a normal day. That was a very good day. But, 675 quid, that's income coming in for something that I didn't have any money going out. There's no tenants am I relying on to pay that rent. When we talk about diversified, yes, you should have property. Obviously, you should have property. You should also have different types of property. So our DSS, we've got 2 DSS, and I'm not great love with DSS tenants whatsoever. But actually, we know that rent's definitely coming in now. So that's a diversification underneath property. You've got HMOs. They're diversified to some extent, good or bad, whichever way you want to look at that. And actually, if it's £300 a month, people generally find 300 quid a month, but they can't find £1,000 a month. And the other side of this, by the way, is people having nice cars and frappuccinos from Starbucks and expensive holidays. When it hits the fan, it turns out that they haven't got 2 or 3 months worth of living expenses. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, it's fine to look rich, but you're not rich. And also, this has affected us. We're very lucky that we can cut mortgage costs. And actually, we've got our next 3 months of mortgages covered, or not mortgages, all our expenses are covered if we cut out the mortgage costs. And that learning for me is we need to start paying down some of this debt. Now, a couple of caveats here. If you're paying down debt on a house you've just bought, think about this. £1 today is worth less 20 years from now. Okay, so £500 in 20 years' time is not the same as £500 today. £500 today is worth a lot more because inflation erodes that. So if you owe £100,000 on your portfolio today, in 20 years' time, that £100,000 in real terms is worth maybe £60,000 or £70,000. But bear in mind, a Mars bar is 50 quid in 20 years' time. So you should be using future money to pay off debt. You shouldn't be paying off very low mortgage debt right now. But even where, okay, we need to be thinking about paying some of that down. But actually, do you know what? That money that we're not paying out to mortgage companies right now, we've got that, it's in the bank and it's sat there. We just want to be absolutely cautious of what we're doing. When this lifts and it turns out that we've still got a big bunch of cash, we're going to work out what we're going to do with that. Now, are we going to pay off mortgages? Maybe. Pay off some of them. Are we going to actually take that money? Bear in mind, mortgage interest rates are so low right now. It's very, very cheap borrowing. Now we're actually going to take that money and put it into, FTSE 100, which is going to shoot up over the next 2 to 5 years. After this, historically, it's always happened. And we're going to get dividends as well, 5 to 6 or 7%. Or we're going to pay down mortgage debt, which is costing us 0.25 or 0.1%, whatever the base rate is, plus whatever your mortgage company is charging. Now, it's not for me to say what you do with your money. It's for you to work that out. But for me, we're going to take a long, hard, serious look at what are we doing with this money? Where's this money going and where should it best be going? How can we avoid this happening again in the future? And it's just about stress testing your portfolio. Want to know how much money can you actually do without to still survive? And what's your backup position if you phone up the mortgage companies and go, do you know what, we need a 3-month payment holiday? What does that backup plan look like? And how does that then affect the spreadsheet when you're stress testing your spreadsheet? And most people haven't got the spreadsheet. Most people are not looking at the spreadsheet and stress testing. They just see rent coming in and they're hoping they're going to get to the end of the month. It's crazy. We've still got a big chunk of rent to come in. It's only the 8th. We've still got a big chunk of rent to come in, okay? And we are already covered for this month, and going into next month, we're 25% covered, if my memory serves. And then when the rest of the rent, or even 80% of the rent comes in, we've still got next month's rent covered and a bit of the following month as well. And that's because we're not paying those mortgages. And so we're going to take that cash, we're going to hold on to it, and then we're going to decide what we're going to do with that cash if it just blows over. But if it doesn't, at least we've got 3 months worth where we can survive the storm, batten down the hatches and weather the storm. And I would suggest that you guys do that as well. And when I say I suggest, it's not legal advice. It's just what I'm doing. I have to protect myself from I watched Dan's video, and Dan told me to do this. I ain't telling you to do anything. I'm telling you to have a look at your spreadsheet and stress test what this is going to look like. And then the second side of this is after all this is over, because we're in this quagmire. Do you like that word? We're in this quagmire right now. Nobody knows what day it is. Nobody knows. I don't even know what planet I'm on. I have no idea what's going on. I'm not sleeping very well. Weird dreams. But here we are. In 3 or 4 months' time, when all this is finished with and it's just distant memory, and fingers crossed and touch wood, touch wood, that we're going to get through this fine, and you're going to get through this fine as well. We need to seriously look at, from September onwards, where are we here? Where do we want to be? What extra income streams do we need to start creating? Do you need to be creating online courses? The answer is yes, by the way. Let me just put the ticker tape up there. We do a course for 27 quid. It shows you how to do courses. And that course that we made 25 sales on at 27 quid on one day, that's using this system. It's only 27 quid, by the way, if you want to buy it. But you don't have to do that. It's like, what else is going to be your income streams? And so think about this. What if people can't go to work in September or November or July next year? Or what if something else happens? How can you cover yourself so that you're still earning an income? It might not be through property, it could be through something else, and you might want to stress test on something else. You might, if your expenses are £1,500 or £2,000 a month, is that 100 products at £20 each, or is that 20 products at £100 each? On that money matrix, what does that look like? What should that look like? So that if property dries up, you've still got an income coming in from elsewhere. This is what multiple streams of income means. I mean, it's like 5 or 6 different ones that you can do. You could write a book and sell books. You could create training courses and sell training courses. You can get up and physically go and do work. You can do online learning where you're teaching other people how to do it. You could do mastermind groups that are online. There are all these different ways of making an income. You could buy stocks and shares, which pays dividend. You could buy property, which pays rent. What else is it? Books, job, dividends. I think that's probably it. There's a couple more that I've probably missed out. But you need to go and have a look at these and work out what is the plan of action going to be. So before we got locked down, my plan of action was going to be, we're going to create at least 1 training course every single month, likely 2 training courses. Obviously, everyone's at home. The wife has stolen my USB camera. It's very difficult for us to actually sit down and make those training courses right now. We've got a 5-year-old that I have to homeschool. I've played so much Barbie in these last 4 weeks. But we've had loads of fun, but it's difficult at the same time. It's a real, emotional roller coaster because you're exasperated because it's Barbie's birthday, but never my Barbie's birthday. My friend Dave was taking the piss out of that. But it's like the little things, everything's magnified, and I get that it's hard. But coming out of this, what are you going to do? What training courses are you going to create? What new income streams? The Gate has just made a fabulous appearance there. Thank you for that, Mr. Gate. What income streams are you going to generate? What extra stuff are you going to do? Are you going to write that book and get it out on Amazon so people can download it on their Kindle, so you don't need physical deliveries of books? And if you've not got a Kindle version, that's absolutely the next version that you might want to do. And then what's your upsell from the Kindle version? All this stuff has to be thought out. And I know this is a property cash flow show, but thinking about property, what's the type of tenants that you're going to have? Do you need a better mix in terms of diversification, in terms of tenants? Do you need key workers? Where literally on the day that the lockdown came in the UK, we had some viewings, and we had one tenant in particular who was a key worker. She's a cleaner in a school, okay? Not frontline saving lives, police, army, medical corps, whatever. They're not on that front line, but they're still providing an absolutely essential service for parents of children who are working those, who are other type of key workers. Who would have thought that just a cleaner and I've got a cleaner called Debbie who's amazing, by the way, and she does all sorts of stuff for me. But just a cleaner are out there right now saving the world by keeping our schools clean, so the kids of key workers can go to school and the key workers aren't having to stay at home. I think that's amazing. Anyway, so we spoke to her. She couldn't quite afford the rent, so we dropped it 20%. We didn't take a deposit, and we actually gave a 50% discount on first month's rent. She paid 250 quid when it should be 600 quid. That's more than 50%, isn't it? But her rent now is £500 a month instead of £600 a month. So we took some hits on that, and we're able to move her in straight away. And that's a really nice thing. But should you also be having conversations around the types of workers that you have, and should you even be taking DSS, LHA type tenants? And maybe the answer is yes. Maybe it's a certain type of tenant. Maybe it's a mum and dad with 4 kids. I've got one of those. Got another chap who's in a house of HMO and he's had some learning disabilities, and he has a social worker and that kind of thing. And all the other housemates love him, and his rent comes in, and it's like guaranteed rent. And it's nice to be able to help other people that are, struggling in some way. He got kicked out of his old house because the other tenants kind of ganged up on him. We sent a message to the other tenants and let them know, and made sure that they looked after him. That's a nice thing to do. Everybody wins from that, So within your portfolio, I think it's important to contemplate the different types of people that are in there. I don't rent to coppers. I will never rent to a copper. And I know we have a couple of coppers watching. I know my thoughts on that. We won't rent to lawyers. They're out of job now anyway. They're out of work anyway. We've probably been furloughed, but we won't rent to lawyers for obvious reasons. If you've ever rented to a lawyer, you'll know. You just think they can bully you. But the other type of people, teachers are great tenants, by the way. They've usually got no money, by the way, as well. But they don't want to move. They just want to be settled. They're away for 6 weeks, whatever. It's fine. But I think it's important to consider some of the different types of tenants that are coming into your properties, so you have a balance. When I was buying in Leeds, I was buying up near St James's. The idea was, nurses around there. Now, unfortunately, around there, it's all DSS. But that's okay. Turned out to be a godsend. Here we are in 2020. Everybody's locked down, apart from, the people that can afford the rent are the people on DSS. What's that about? That's absolutely crazy. It's another matter as to whether they actually pay the landlord or not, of course. But I just wonder, is now the time to re-look at the type of tenants and balance? So in finance, we have this thing called load balancing. So if you start off and you've got 50% of income from shares and 50% from property, and property does really well and is generating 80% of your income and 20% on shares, you would load balance that, okay? So you would sell up some property and move that money over to shares, so you've always got a load balance. This is one of the things that if you're diversifying through stocks and shares, you always load balance. It's one of the things, if you've not read Money by Tony Robbins, you should read that book. It'll describe how to do that. It's part of your financial education, of course. But you should be load balancing for different tenant types, and how much income have we got coming in from that type of tenant, and how much from this type of tenant? What about key workers? It turns out key workers are saving the world and paying the rent. So I just wonder, in terms of you stress testing your portfolio, first you need to know how much of a hit can you take. Second, you want to consider, that hurt, by the way, from all the hand washing. Second, you want to consider the different types of tenants that you've got. And third, you want to consider the types of income that you've got right now. Is it from a job? And what happens if that job disappears? And have you got the skills to cover that? And if not, you need those skills. And if you've got an income from just property, what else are you going to do to generate more of an income? I was looking at some of the gurus. There's one guru who I won't name. Was a couple, actually. All will remain nameless. But they're now selling online courses, and he claims to have sold 100 million. You'll know who it is. If you want to believe that stuff, then you can believe that. Sold 100 million, really now, through online trading. And now selling a trading course. Why do you have to, maybe you have sold 100 million. I'm not convinced. But very quickly they had to create an online trading course because they had no other choice, because all their other trading courses were physical people going and physically being there. That's had to change. And that should have been happening, a while back, very specifically in the training arena. But the world is going to change drastically when we come out of this, and you need to be prepared for this new world order. For those people in tinfoil hats, you've got to be prepared for what this new world might actually look like. And it's going to look different than how it used to look. People are going to work from home a lot more. People are going to spend time at coffees shops more and pubs more, I think. We've spent enough time at home. The other people that have done very well are people like Netflix. Disney have done incredibly well from this. Tesco's have done it, very saying they've spent £950 million on hiring more people. Well, hold on a minute. You've upped your sales by 30%. Your income's increased by 30%. Now, I don't know how much Tesco actually make, but about 950 million pounds, I'm pretty sure that's going to be covered one way or another. You have the people that are, there's two things I want to say on this. The people that are making money right now are the shops. Tesco's are making an awful lot of money. Asda, Walmart, Sainsbury's, they're all making a ton of money. And, you go on Twitter and you see people talking about rents and landlords. Oh, my landlord's asked me for rent. How dare he? Doesn't he know there's a pandemic? So have you been to Tesco's and asked them for free food? You should be doing that if you don't want to pay rent, And let's just go into Dixon's and PC World and take a couple of big screen TVs. I know it's closed. Take a couple of big screen TVs and say, well, there's a pandemic on. I'm not paying. You still pay for your petrol. You're still paying for council tax and all the rest of it. I don't know why landlords suddenly the scapegoat yet again. Ignorance of tenants, unfortunately, not actually understanding how all this works. They'll pay for that with increased rents, unfortunately, in the next 6 months. But for us, as landlords, we've got to start protecting ourselves and we've got to start having diversified incomes. You've got to know how far your portfolio can be stress tested to. What if interest rates go from 0.1 to 6.1 overnight? What if that happened? What if I went to 10%? And what other income streams can you bring on board that's going to protect you from that happening? Inflation, folks, is going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. Mark my words. When I talk about a Mars bar being 50 quid in 20 years' time, I'm not actually joking there. Maybe a little bit, but it'll be a tenner for sure. And an iPhone will be £20,000 and a bottle of Coke will be 18 quid, This is the world in which we're going to be in 20 years' time. By the way, if you've got £3 million worth of debt, that's not bad. That £3 million will be worth 1.5 maybe, I don't know. And the rent, which is £500, will be worth £2,000 a month. And on that £100,000 house, if it's 2 grand, that's 50 months. You pay it off. That's one of the reasons why the rich get richer and the poor don't. The poor buy things that give them instant gratification and doesn't go up in value. The wealthy, we buy something 20 years ago, either it goes up in value or the income it generates increases, while the debt stays the same and is actually eroded by inflation. That's the real reason why the rich get richer and the poor stay poor. And the poor will be poor in 20 years' time. And the rich will be richer, because that's a word, in 20 years' time. But for now, while we're in this, start stress testing your portfolio and start considering where your other income streams are going to come from. All right, that will do us today. Sorry we're late. We'll try and work better at getting these on time a little bit more. Hope yourselves stay safe, and we'll speak to you on Friday in the Mindset and Hustle show, hopefully at 12 o'clock. I will speak to you then. My name's Dan Latto. Take care.
Hey, it's Dan here. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate each and every one of you. Please click like or subscribe to the entire podcast.